You're listening to the In the Mix podcast with Marvin Joles. Here's your host.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of In the Mix. It's springtime here. We're kind of getting into it. I don't know when you'll hear this one. You might actually hear it in the fall. We've got a lot of podcasts we've recorded that we've banked a little bit. But one thing I can tell you for sure is it won't be the first time that you'll see content from myself and my guest today. Today, I have Kevin Garcia. He's the general manager of Civil Specialty Solutions at Trimble Inc. And you may have seen content with us about a piece of compaction technology. And I wanted him to elaborate on that. But when we were standing in the booth, we were like, there's so much more that Trimble brings to the asphalt world. Let's start talking about that. But Kevin, if you would introduce yourself and tell us, how long you've been at Trimble and what you exactly do there. What does that title mean?
Yeah, it's a good question. And it's a complicated title. Yeah. I've been at Trimble now 14 years, and Civil Specialty Solutions is really just anything that's not the dirt moving part. So the dozers, excavators, and graders, that's not me. If it's paving, if it's drilling and piling, if it's marine construction, if it's landfills, or if it's our off-machine stuff, so bases, rovers, total stations, that all fits underneath me with my excellent product team that develops those solutions in those spaces.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot of stuff to keep our heads on.
Yeah, I think when we were in the booth and I was like, when people think of Trimble, they always just think of the poles with the Trimble device sitting on the edge of the bulldozers and the earth movers. And we were just like, there's so much more to it. So elaborate a little bit for us. Like, what does that do there? Well, I mean, what do you do in that realm? Because that's a lot of pieces of equipment, a lot of fields.
It's a lot of stuff. Yeah. So we really like to focus on the workflow, right? I mean, we don't want to build a point solution that just does one thing. It really needs to enable the contractor, or in a perfect world, it's the owner, the engineers and architects, the contractors. It's a whole construction continuum. When we talk about not earth moving, so the specialty space, a lot of that's machine control centric. We've got automated machine guidance for pavers, for mills, for compactors. In the drilling and piling world, we've got, solar's huge right now around the world. So we're doing a lot of piling in the solar space. But we have a marine division. A lot of people don't know. Now that is an excavator or a dredge of some kind working underwater. But, that little yellow globe sitting on the pole, a lot of people think, that's just part of the equipment. They don't know when they drive past. We're actually taking, in many instances, it's GPS. In the paving space, a lot of times it's actually total stations. So we're out chasing, millimeter accuracy. GPS is going to get you about a golf ball. But in the paving space where we're managing yields and really tight tolerances and, drains and brake lines, we need to be really tight. So we're measuring a point on the machine, which is usually where you see that target on top of the mast. Mm-hmm. We're measuring to that point, and then the software's got some, complicated algorithms that take us down to the thing we care about. So on the mill, I care about the tooth on the drum. For the paver, I care about the back of the screed. For the roller, I care about the bottom of the roller surface. And we're measuring to that point so that we know how exactly did the job go. Did we put the asphalt where it was supposed to go? Did it follow the grades and the breaks that the engineer intended? For the mill, did we take away what we wanted to take away? Did we take away too much? Did we take away not enough? For the compaction systems, are we getting a quality product? One thing that's really interesting about building a road is you're going to spend 95, 98% of the cost of the road before the roller hits it. And then when the roller hits it, if they don't do their job right, you just wasted 98% of your job.
Correct. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah. That's the finishing part. And if we don't do it correctly, all the rest was for nothing.
Exactly right. So and then the off machine stuff, that's where we're doing the survey tools. So your screen where you're monitoring, am I doing what I'm supposed to do? I've got my design loaded there. I'm grade checking. Yeah, the paver, I want it to be, over 2.5 inches here at a 2% cross slope. Is that what I'm doing? Yes, we're verifying that the machine's delivering what we expected out of our model. It's guiding the machine. Now, if it's a GPS world, you've got a base station probably on site, or you're using a VRS network, for example, and we're doing it with precise GNSS accuracy. But when we're doing a paver or a mill, we're using a total station. So you'll hear them called robots or total stations. That's what's sitting on a tripod on the side of the road. Looks like a camera.
Yep.
And it's pointed at that target on the machine. And now we're chasing, take a quarter
fraction
to the side. That's what we're chasing for accuracy to put it right where it needs to be.
Yeah. And what's crazy is I was fortunate enough at last World of Asphalt to talk to Carl, and Carl was like, "Hey, I want to show you this thing. I want to show you this piece of equipment and this technology and whatnot." And I think that that's really what got me after speaking with him was like the accuracy that we can do it, because we're thinking about aggregate, whether it's sand, whether it's rock, whether it's asphalt, whatever. We're thinking about aggregate, and to know that we can get it within like a micrometer measurement using Trimble's technology is the thing that, you and I were talking a little bit before the podcast. It's the thing that sets us apart now from it did 20 years ago, 50
Yep.
years ago, 100 years ago, when there were you were talking about the horse-drawn drag boxes, that people used back then. And we were spraying oil on rocks and trying to get it to compact and all these different things. This is where we're at now. You can't really unwind that. Like,
Yep.
there's not going to be a point now where they're going to, the engineers or state specs or project managers or whatever are going to be like, you know what? It doesn't have to be fractionally close. Close enough's okay. And we're not going to unwind that.
Yeah. And what's really crazy is, it's a world where I think, and you opened with this, Marvin, everyone knows us for the bulldozer, for the motor grader, and the penetration or the adoption in that market is huge. Like people, they can't really even think about doing it the other, they don't put stakes in the ground. There's not hubs. There's not, they're not in some places. Yeah. But by and large, that's widely adopted. But the
Yeah.
paved space is still lagging behind significantly, which I don't think surprises, people who have
Nobody.
history for a long time. We're usually last to the game, and it's not because we don't want to. It's paving's a hard job. Paving's a job that's got a lot of expertise in it. You've got these seasoned operators who know what they're doing, and they're out working all day. They're not,
Yeah.
it's rare that they look up and go, "Hey, what is new? What could I be doing different?"
Mhm.
And it's a word of mouth business. Like, if you tried it, then you talk to your peers and go, "I tried this thing."
Yeah.
It kind of scales up. But in a world where, especially right now, oil prices are through the roof, your yields really, really matter.
Yeah.
And when we think about technology, yeah, we can be microscopically accurate. And what does that mean? Well, it means the contractor placed what they bid. So the tonnage that you're expected is what you placed. Your IRI is better, so everyone likes driving on smoother roads.
Yep.
The end users like it. The state DOTs like it. They're easier to maintain. Especially in a northern climate where you think about snowplows.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
If you got a bad road and a blade is hitting it, every week it just accelerates the failures. So smooth roads are easier roads. They're safer roads. They have better yields so that everyone gets what they expected out of a job cost. There's a lot of reasons to place it precisely.
If you're a paving contractor, you already know the bottleneck: takeoffs. Either your estimator's burning a full day on measurements, or you're paying one of those services that takes 2 or 3 days to send something back. TrueTech fixes that. It's an instant estimating platform built specifically for paving. Asphalt, striping, curbs, seal coating, the whole job. And it gets you a measured, bid-ready takeoff in minutes. Not 24 hours, not 72 hours, minutes. They've got construction drawing takeoffs coming, same instant turnaround. They even have a custom estimating and proposal tool too. Go to truetech.ai, send them a job you've already bid, and they'll run a free takeoff so you can see it for yourself. That's TrueTech AI. I'm talking about road plowing. We're just now getting over that here in Wisconsin. I was telling you beforehand, I think I quoted 15 jobs today. One of our larger clients was like, well, why is this area of the asphalt look a little more rough? And I'm like, it's a high spot and a plow blade hit it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when it was installed, granted, it was installed well, but that's a high spot and a plow blade hit it, which means we're getting detriment on the plow blade too. But the one thing that I think that we might overlook in this conversation is the efficiency upgrade of, if in the olden, we're just going to call them the olden days, which they're not that far in our past now, but it feels like it with the way we've adopted technology. We would have tried to get grade. We would have had to come back and shoot it. They would have had to relay that information to the bulldozer operator or the motor grader operator. And now now that we've accelerated and we are using technology like Trimble, we have also shortened the time frame of when the expectation is of when you're going to complete these projects. So
Absolutely.
now you can't go back because there's going to be another contract. It's like, yeah, we can hit the deadline. Not only that, we might be able to beat it. So
Yep.
we can't really go back, as I was saying, to unwind it at that point. But I think there's this overall feeling a lot of times, because we are such an archaic industry, we no matter what, it always goes back to rocks, right? It's aggregate and rocks every time, that there's this perception that we can't adopt this, or it's not for our generation or whatever. But you and I have a mutual friend in Jacob Buck that
Yep.
lets us know, hey, his father probably was like, I have no idea about this. Jacob says, hey, I do know about it. Let's make
Yeah.
it happen. They're one of the best advocates that we have in the asphalt industry for using products like what Trimble brings to the table.
And they do it. I think I love the Buck Brothers story because most people see technology and they go, that's for the big guys doing highways and racetracks and airports. That's not me.
Yeah.
I'm a steel coat guy, or I'm a parking lot guy. All the Buck Brothers do is commercial properties, and
Yeah.
they went through that exact evolution you just described. Of we're a small company. They're not hundreds of employees, but they know that they're a profitable company, but Jacob saw it and said, I know we can do better. He chased down technology. He went out and did his homework. In fact, he came to an Ignite event in Florida. I want to say it was probably 4 years ago.
Yep.
Did his homework, talked to a lot of people, and went and invested in some technology. And he's not shy at all to say, we're grading 50% faster, which
Yeah.
is huge in that space. You
Massive.
imagine how many jobs you're going to get done now in a year. It gets 50% larger. And he's able to do that with operators that don't have to have 10, 15 years of experience. You can almost put anyone in the cab of that machine, and you're still going to get the result you want out of the back of that out of that blade, or out of the
Yeah.
back of that city, whatever you're using. And the better the grade is prepped, the easier it is for the paving afterwards. Everyone can pay for thickness. It's when you got to do variable that's hard.
Yeah. When they're trying to get those parking lots to divert water, or they're trying to, that's the key. I've seen a lot of posts online, a lot of pictures of not just bird baths, but swimming pools in
Yeah.
brand new parking lots, right? And you were like, this totally could have been avoided. And we know it could be avoided, as at the people who are quote unquote in the know, because we know there's technology out there that can help you avoid these types of issues.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I think I always like to tell people when they ask me about technology, and you make a great point before I get to that point about, I think people think that they need to be this high experienced operator in order to be able to jump into the technology and understand it. And that's actually not the case. It's the reverse of that, where you don't have to have a lot of experience, because all the thinking and finesse work actually comes out through the technology and
Yep.
gets you caught up to pace fairly quick. But I talk to a lot of contractors, not just with they're using Trimble's technology, but a lot of different CRMs and different measuring softwares and all these other things. And I ask them, I'm like, on movie night, do you still go to Blockbuster to get one? Like, well, no. I'm like, oh, so you pull a DVD out of your collection? I'm like, well, no. We go to Netflix. It's like, exactly. Like that's what we do now. We go to a streaming software. Although we know we could do it on the DVD or we could get a VHS. We don't do that anymore, because even those small things, the quality is down and the efficiency is down, right? And
Yep.
you're just not available. So I think about that in that capacity. And when you and I were at Con Expo, we started talking about a certain piece of technology, which I'm excited to start posting about that and get that out. That'll be out by the time people hear this podcast. But I live for me specifically. My career took a weird turn when I started posting to social media and started doing the podcast. But I live for those moments when I'm like, whoa, this
Yep.
is awesome. And you caught me in one of those at the Trimble booth. Tell me about that piece of technology, because you were like, this sticks to the bottom of your roller. And I was
Yeah.
like, what? It sticks to the bottom of the roller? Tell me about this thing.
Yeah, and this was just Con Expo a month ago now, and my phone has not stopped ringing since that show about this thing. So
You're
what we've done
welcome.
is,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Thank you. We introduced ground penetrating radar to the compaction process. For everyone that's been around asphalt, which is all the listeners to this show, when we roll asphalt, what we're really doing is driving the air voids out of the mat. And the more air voids you drive out, the longer lasting, the less water impregnation, the better the quality of the road. And we all have targets you got to hit, which we equate to density, but it's really just measuring the air voids of a mix design. And for forever, our way of managing the compaction effort was a new gauge or a PQI, something that was following the machine, and you would set it down, and you had a worker with you, someone designed to go out and be that inspector, take some measurements and record how well the job is performing. And if you're going to go do a whole parking lot or a lane
How
mile
does
of
it
road,
do that though, Kevin? Like, how does it? How,
The new
you're
gauge,
going to
the
record
traditional way.
how it's doing. Yeah. How does it
Yeah.
do that?
So a new gauge is it's measuring what we call the dielectric profile. So it's effectively measuring, a signal through the mix. And there's a difference between rock and oil carrying the signal and air carrying the signal. It's a lot like when we measure conductivity of steel for
Sure.
that. So we're measuring, how well does this signal travel through the space? And we did it with a new gauge before, and that new gauge was hand carried. Someone,
Yeah.
walks around with it. They
Looks like
set
a
it down,
toaster
push
on
the
a
button.
stick. Looks like
It
a
is.
yeah.
Exactly right. And they get a number and they go, okay, or hey, this isn't good enough, come back. And now the roller operator has to back up and work an area again and move forward. We're lucky to check a tenth of a percent of the overall square footage of a job, right? You're
Correct.
setting this thing down, push the button, set it down over here, push the button. It's not representative of the whole entire surface.
Correct.
And we don't want to let one bad number dictate our roller pattern for the rest of the day. What if 6 passes was the right pass and we just got to, maybe there was a gradation change or maybe the mix got a little bit, it wasn't homogeneous right here. But because we saw a lower number, now we say it's 7 passes. And now the rest of the day, you roll 7 passes and you start fracturing aggregate. You're burning fuel. You're wear and tear on your machine. You're holding up the paver because he wants to be going 40 feet a minute, and now we're doing 30 because the roller's got to work longer in specific areas.
Yep.
So, but that's the way we do it. And then when we finish, the way we verified it was someone went and on your brand new asphalt mat, someone went and took a hole saw and took a core out, and we take that core to the lab and we measure all the parameters and say, yeah, okay, you hit your minimum asphalt thickness. It was the right gradation. It was the right density. That's just that workflow. It's been that way for as long as I've been.
As long as I can remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now we've got this new sensor, this ground penetrating radar. So this little box that I showed you, it looks like an orange pizza box, and it sticks to the bottom of the roller between 2 drums. It doesn't look like anything all that special, but it's measuring the mat, and it measures down around an inch. So we're a lot of technology has existed in the past trying to get us a density or a stiffness measurement, and it was accelerometer based. So it was measuring how much of the drum's energy was transferring into the surface and bouncing back.
Okay.
The problem with an accelerometer is it's measuring down 2-3 feet into the ground.
Yeah.
You're weighing the asphalt. And
you're getting into base and sub base.
Exactly. And that's not what we cared about. We prepped that already. We want to measure the asphalt layer. So it wasn't a great indicator of what was really happening with the mix.
In this industry, accuracy isn't optional. It's profit. Moser helps asphalt contractors measure smarter and faster right on the job site. Whether you're measuring repair areas, calculating tonnage, or estimating stockpiles, Moser lets you do it without GPS, without internet, and without expensive survey equipment. That means quicker takeoffs, more confident bids, and fewer costly mistakes. If you're serious about growing your company, tightening margins, and bringing in better tech to your operation, Moser is a tool you should be using. This is built for on-site measuring, and that's why it fits perfectly in the asphalt industry. Discover more about Moser by clicking the link in the description.
This sensor, this ground penetrating radar, is only measuring down an inch, so we know what's happening in the layer that we're working. And fortunately, asphalt compacts, from the bottom up, and we're doing the same thing. We're measuring the air void. So think percent compacted. So if I'm 90% compacted, I'm 90% aggregate, 10% air. My target said 93. I know the number directly under my drum at any given time, no matter where I go on the surface. So now I've mapped the entire asphalt surface, and I'm mapping it on the screen. It's like a giant digital.
Oh, so it's not just giving you a digital readout of a number. It's mapping the entire project too. So it's telling you, hey, it's 94 over here or 92 over here. You need to put more right here. Yep. Interesting.
Yeah. So we set a target, and in the Trimble systems, the target will always be green. So if I set it today at 94, I roll back and forth, following my roller pattern. And when the screen turns green, that means I'm in my threshold. I hit 94, move on. So there is no more guesswork. I don't need the inspector behind me anymore. I know what I hit because I'm looking at the screen where I hit it. And once everything's green, I move forward. I'll never under compact and I'll never over compact. Means we can keep up with the roller. And that measuring of 0.1% of the job before, I'm measuring 100% of the job. And as a contractor, I know that no one's going to find fault in the product I just put down. There's not going to be early failures. I did what I was paid to do.
It's so awesome.
Super cool. Yeah.
It's just so awesome, Kevin. I think people have to know by now, I'm a geek about this. I have to be, because for me, maybe it's just the contractor side of it knowing the headaches and then having friends, of course, that are paving at that scale where they need to hit those, and knowing like the gripes and the struggles and stuff that they have. For
Yep.
me, listen, getting over those troubles is awesome, but also when you just think about the technology and that's what we're doing, and that there's technology and teams that designed this to help us, it's so awesome.
Yeah, it's we get to talk to a lot of, like you, we get to talk to a lot of customers around the world, and we're always asking them, what would you solve tomorrow? Like what are your problems? What do you deal with? Where do you see the biggest issues in your fleet or with your crews? And this was a common theme. Like, man, we don't have a way of really knowing what we've done until an inspector does it. And there's nothing. Look, nothing. Inspectors, we need you on jobs. There's lots of stuff you do.
Yeah, we
But
gotta keep
one
ourselves
where
in check for sure.
yeah, but it's still someone standing out there next to live machines. It's a safety risk. Unfortunately, every single year, inspectors are struck by vehicles, next to
Something
live
happened.
traffic, and
Mhm.
I feel a lot safer sitting on a 10-ton roller than I do standing, with my work boots holding a nuke gauge. We're improving site safety. We're improving job site quality, job site
Efficiency.
efficiency. We're not waiting on someone to tell us have we passed or failed. We can just go because
Yeah.
we know all the time.
Well, I think that, you make a good point about safety too, because if it wasn't an issue, there wouldn't be roller companies creating technologies that stop when they see a human within the field of vision, right? With all their sensors and whatnot. But I think the big picture of it all, including, the safety aspect of it, the efficiency, and all these other aspects of it, is the fact that there's technology that is created that, and you all, I think, honestly, when I say you all, Kevin, I mean Trimble, the reputation for the quality of products that you all have created. When you come to the market with something like this, what's the device called?
PaveScan RS. Yep.
Okay. When you come with PaveScan RS and Trimble's there, and the inspectors almost have to be like, well, it's got to be on, like whatever it is, like, whatever these readouts are, there's no way Trimble's going to bring something to the market that isn't proven to work and work well. And I think that it makes their job easier, to be
Yep.
honest with you, right? I mean, it's going to be an interesting dynamic just to see this one device and how it changes our industry and what it does. And we talk about the civil work, right, with this device, the PaveScan. What was the number?
PaveScan RS.
Oh, PaveScan RS. All right. What's the RS stand for?
That's a good question. It's a great question. This was
I think it just sounds cool. It's like RT, like a Dodge RT or something like
it's
that.
a RS for roller scanner, so it mounts on a roller. So the one thing about this tech is we partnered with GSSI, which is a really, really well-known GPR company. And Trimble doesn't have to build everything. Sometimes there's people with cool mousetraps, and it just needed to be integrated with something else to truly unlock its potential.
Yeah.
We have intelligent compaction systems. We have GPS. They have cool GPR sensors. It's called the PaveScan. Been on roads forever. It usually mounts on a cart, and they measure the road after it's been constructed and the crews are gone. And it's nice to know, but it's one of those, well, what am I going to do about it? I have got some bad spots.
It's cool, but what are you going to do? The asphalt's down to 150 degrees and we can't compact it anymore or do whatever we want to do. One thing that I've noticed is that, it's a pizza box right now, but before too long, I got a feeling it's going to be the size of a sheet of paper. And then before other long, it's going to be the size of my iPhone. And then what that does for me and my brain lets me know that when it is the size of an iPhone, it's going to shoot up to my phone, and I can use this technology then at a smaller scale if I wanted to do it on driveways or, even with parking lots. Sometimes those rollers are way too big and will fracture the aggregate. We're going to get this technology down to where I care. Like, I care how long a driveway lasts a client. I care how long a parking lot lasts a client. There's not an inspector there, but when you are putting your name behind it and you're understanding, hey, this is what it does, we're essentially going, when you get to smaller contractors, we're going off of information that was relayed to us, hopefully through training, because a lot of guys think they can just get, a CC 900 or an RD12 roller from Whacker, and that's going to be good enough. It's not. It's not putting the compaction down that we need in order to create a surface where if somebody's house is on a mountainside and they have switchbacks and the water is running down, it's likely going in before it's going down if you don't have proper compaction. So that gets me excited at the contractor scale size, because that means we're going to start to be able to take it in. I'm going to see Jacob Buck with it on. I'm going to have to go out to his job site, interview him. We're going to crawl under there and look at it and just be in awe. But it's cool. I mean, it's cool that we know that it starts there and then it gets down to contractors of all size.
So I was recently on my way back down to Tennessee, and I was going through Indiana doing some heavy highway construction there, and I seen them paving at night, and they had these lights on the back of the paver that illuminated the whole area. You could see the skid steers, you could see the dump trucks, you could see everything. And these big balloon lights on the back came from Portable Lighting Solutions. So PLS is the only balloon light manufacturer offering a replaceable screw-in LED bulb that is field serviceable in minutes. They have a patented slide-in assembly, and they have a push to rapidly deploy mechanism. So you just push down on the light and the light pops up and is illuminated. You push back down, it shuts off. And they're manufactured here in the USA. There's no patch kits needed. There's not a blower motor. There's no set screws, and they're UL certified. So if you're interested in putting one of these on your paver, I think I'm going to put one on the paver that we just got, and probably on our seal coat unit too, so that we can seal coat at night. You can hop over to portablelightingsolutions.net and put an order in and find yours today. They are ARA members, APWA members, and Women of Asphalt members as well. Once again, that's portablelightingsolutions.net.
And that's where, like, to your point, the form factor today is a pizza box. But I think what really has changed a lot in the paving space too is nearly all of this information. Where was the asphalt put? How wide was the pavement? What's the surface look like? We're recording all of that during the paving process, just like we're recording this compaction factor during the compaction process. It's all streaming to the cloud in real time. So even if you're not there, Marvin, and you got a crew that's out there and you're curious, how are things going? You can pull out your phone, click on your Works Manager account, click on, job driveway 123, and you're seeing the exact same thing on your screen, basically, the operator sees. And you can go, I don't even need to go visit that job today. I see it. Everything's green. Everything's good. The crew's good. Where should I can go bid another job. Let's go make more money. So connecting the field and office is another really big part of what's changed in the industry.
Yeah, we've seen that at ConExpo. Like, we've seen that at Trimble's booth. Once you started telling me that this technology was talking to this technology that was talking to this one, and then I would visit other booths. That's happening within other companies as well. One thing that I love about that is it's driving all of us forward. Being in a capitalist economy, hey, they're creating it. We need to create it. We need to be going here. We need to be doing there. And everybody's pushing forward. Ultimately, what I was explaining at one point at ConExpo is this making us more efficient so that we're not hopefully out there at 10 o'clock when we should have been done at 6, but we didn't hit compaction. And you can make it back to your home for dinner time with your family, or you can make it to your son's baseball game, or you not get up super early because you didn't know where you were at that night when you ended the project. Same thing with guys at the asphalt plants. When those things are all talking to each other and we're getting more technology, they're not running late. They can kind of get in front of problems before they really exist, which is fantastic. Trimble does that. You and I talked about that in the booth, right? It's wonderful to you and I actually were talking about something where me as a contractor, I didn't know about this, and didn't think that, maybe I should put the device under the roller right now. So I'm doing it in real time versus at the end. I don't even know that that's a solution that I should be asking you to create for me. Right. So it's great to have that partnership and the communication and collaboration between all of us in order to find those problems and solve them, essentially.
Exactly.
Yeah. It reminded me, I heard something today, and I've been listening to a lot of podcasts about AI technology and the world and the universe and quantum. It doesn't seem like it because I'm not a huge tech nerd, but I am a nerd in some capacities. And I've been listening to like quantum theory and quantum entanglement and listen to quantum particles. And it's just so much fun for me to think about and listen to. But I was listening to one where it was the guy who invented the sewing machine actually had a dream, and he was having trouble because he couldn't get it to work. And then he was seen somewhere in a dream that there was a spear with a hole at the top of it. And he was like, oh, if I put the thread at the beginning of the needle, then this thing will work. Yeah, instead of trying to drive the needle all the way through and pull it back, I can just put it at the beginning. And it reminds me of that when we're talking about putting the sensor underneath the roller. It was like, why weren't we doing that, in real time as we were going all the way along? But it's fun to see. It's fun to see the technology. It's fun to talk with people who are at the forefront of it that realize, hey, this is a problem that we're going to tackle. One thing I love about Trimble is they've been around for a while. They seem to be doing very well. And that lets me know that most of the time there's R&D going places where if you were living on your bread and butter of this thing and that's what you're focused on, you wouldn't get to do R&D in other areas of the asphalt industry. But when you and I were talking, it seemed to be there's plenty of technology and plenty of spaces and plenty of solutions y'all are looking for in the asphalt world. What are some of the other areas where Trimble's created technology or is creating technology in the asphalt industry where we're problem solving?
Yeah, that's good. Probably a couple come to mind, probably Marvin. I mean, I think one is, it goes back to a little bit what I said earlier about we're trying to link, we've got bidding and estimating software, we've got machine control software, we've got survey software. We're known for those things like in buckets, right? I use this, but I don't use those, or I use this and I don't use those. Having your bid software and your estimate, now I know my values, I know what my costs are going to be for my asphalt purchases, for my curb purchases, all that kind of stuff. Having those things flow through to the machine design, that's that one people get. They're like, okay, I said it was 1,000 tons, it better be 1,000 tons. I know it's 1,000 tons because I designed the surface. I have my existing grade. I have my design surface. I know the volume in between. Cool. We take for granted that, like, when you miss that by, even 10 tons, when you're a small company, I get that these giant, mega contractors, they can afford some cost overruns here and there. In fact, they can bake it into their budgets a little easier than a lot of the guys that are doing the majority of the work. So connecting your work orders from your bidding software through your execution piece, and then having the survey in to kind of verify that stuff, we spend a lot more time on. It's less about the up, down, left, right of the machines anymore. And it's really more about what kind of insight can we drive from what did the tractor do? What did the surveyor see? Is there reality capture out there? These things anymore, you're running an iPhone Pro or an iPad Pro. We have a product, we call it SiteVision. It was originally an augmented reality thing. So like, you live in this space sometimes where you're out with a contract, or you're out with a customer, and they're doing let's say they're doing an addition on the side of the house, and they want to do a new driveway roll up, and there's some landscaping around it, and you're showing them some paper prints or maybe even some sketches, and they're like, man, Marvin, I don't get it, I don't see it. SiteVision was meant to be like, cool, let me put it in here, let me mock it up in SketchUp or any 3D drawing tool, and now I'm standing in front of that spot in the driveway. I hold up my phone and I see the trees that are there now, but then I also see this digital view of
what it's going to
look like when I'm done. And that's where we started with this augmented reality. And it was a way for people to visualize what was going to happen and look for conflicts for the contractor. Like, oh, we can't go there. There's a ditch I didn't know about, or, someone put a light pole there. We got to think up something different. That evolved into, now it is a survey tool of outstanding proportions, where I can get a really low cost GNSS receiver that is still premium accuracy, premium precision. I can put my phone on it as my software controller, and any pro version has a LiDAR scanner built into it. So as I'm done constructing, I hit the scan button. I just take a sweep of my phone, up, down, left, right. I get a 3D point cloud that is capturing what was in the field. As soon as I hit save, it pushes it to the cloud. And now, and if I missed a measurement, like, oh man, I forgot to check, how far was it from where I was standing to the edge of pavement? Just open up your software and click a line and go up here, 6.8 feet, done. So tomorrow I know that we're going to pave 6.8 feet wide and 100 feet long, 3 inches thick. Let's call the plant. I need 116 tons, done. Like, we're always pushing the envelope of what's possible, both on the easy to adopt, like iPhone level, but then all the way up to reality captures become a huge deal for a lot of contractors, where they're told at the end of the job, I need to know wherever utility was with survey grade. I want to know where edge of pavement, top back of curb, power lines, light posts, everything that was gone into this, this subdivision, or maybe this intersection. We used to go out there with tape measures and string and levels, and guys have gotten stuff out in a notebook, taking pictures and going, here, put this
on grid paper, on grid paper, and then say 1 grid equals 10 feet, and then we're trying to draw this thing out, right?
Yeah. Now we go through with this. You can mount a device on the back of your pickup. You drive it, so it takes you 3 minutes to scan the entire thing. You're going to get hundreds of millions of points. And the AI anymore in the software can give you, this is edge of pavement, this is where your striping is, this is top back of curb. We've taught the models what to pick out of the point cloud.
Wow.
And if you do that when the trench is still open, you're going to see the utilities. If you do it when the trench is closed, you're not. So scan, look for things, take measurements when you can. But we can create a digital twin. We've got BIM, for buildings forever. Everyone knows, if you built a building anytime in the last 10 years, somewhere the engineers or the owners have a digital twin that they know where every conduit is, where every HVAC duct is, exactly where it's placed, what the dimensions were. It's a thing. People have had it. We take it kind of for granted. Why haven't we done it for roads? Well,
Yes.
I want to know my asphalt layers. I want to know the geometry of it, in real space, georeferenced. We can deliver on all that stuff too.
Between Wiscoat, podcasting, writing, speaking, and family, I'm busy. As you can imagine, it's a lot to juggle. How do I do it? I stay organized. Jobber's been my secret weapon at my asphalt business, which takes up most of my time, but is also the force that allows me to do everything else in my schedule. That's why it's essential that Wiscoat runs fluidly and smooth. After making the switch to Jobber a few years ago, I simply wish I would have done it sooner. The process from when a client reaches out to when we complete a project for that customer has never been easier for us. From quoting, invoicing, scheduling, tracking hours, and even marketing, Jobbers made it all happen in one place in a way that everybody on our team can understand. If you're interested in a free 14-day trial of Jobber and an exclusive discount code for In the Mix listeners, check out the show description to find the link to try Jobber today.
It makes me think about the world around it, though, too, Kevin. Like, it's not just edge of pavement and what's all inside of it. At some point here, that eyeball is going to be pointing beyond the edge of it because there's other driveways, there's trees hanging over, there was stuff in the way or whatever. And I'm sure I could almost guarantee this. When you're paving a roadway or doing whatever, there's homeowners that are complaining, well, this wasn't like this, and you hit this, and you did that. And then we would be able to go back and be like, no, actually, this was taken in real time. And that was the way it was when we got there. It kind of is I hate to be this guy that maybe says this, but it's like an insurance device essentially at that point to save your tail if you're the contractor.
We have a lot of contractors who use it primarily for that. They scan it before the job and then they scan it again after and go, look, that's what it looked like before. And either we improved it or it stayed the same. So dispute resolution is a big one, conflict resolution, or even just looking for clash detection stuff like, hey, what we designed or what the engineer gave us to go execute doesn't work because they didn't know that there's a transformer sitting right there. I can't just move that thing. What do you want me to do here? So a lot of cool stuff like that.
Man, it's awesome.
It's just autonomy, people push for autonomy. When we're not there yet, we don't have, self-driving rollers yet, but
not yet.
We can do horizontal steering. We can do, there are stuff we can do that is already starting. It's not going to turn the vibe on and off yet. You might have to have a guy doing that, or a girl doing that. But we're big believers in what we call task assistance. So, at any given time, an operator has to do 6 or 8 or 10 things. If we can do 4 of them, that means they can concentrate on the other 6, which at the top of that is usually safety. You be the eyes, we'll manage the quality, or we'll manage the steering, we'll manage the pass count. But you focus on where's the truck traffic and are my people safe, and where's the paver right now? Am I close enough to be affecting the right temperature window?
Totally. Yeah. And I mean, it's in that area of the industry. We're seeing a lot in asphalt plant technology and plant operators and stuff too. A lot of that's getting autonomous, and some of these guys that we used to have to worry about tons of lights and screens and everything else, their quote unquote AI assistant is being like, hey, I got every aspect over here. Why don't you just focus on this one thing? And it's seeing a lot of ease. So it's not just in the field here. We're seeing it in all areas of the industry. I mean, we're talking about my phone and me quoting earlier. I use a software for a CRM, Jobber, who sponsors the podcast. And they have an AI receptionist, AI assistant that's there. And then when I talk about marketing, they have an AI marketing assistant, right? That's in there. So literally it's me relaying, hey, I need you to take care of this. And my AI being like, oh, we got you. We'll bring something back and you can take a look at it. Almost instantaneous. But, I'm still out doing whatever. And when I'm measuring, I'm using software to measure, pieces of hardware that interact with the software. So it gives me a 3D rendering that I can give to my clients. That the guy that shows up with the grid paper, yeah, that's cool and all, but it took him a week to make that. And it took me 2 seconds to do it with my device. And I sent it to them right now. They wanted it done Friday, and the guy isn't going to get the quote to them until Saturday. Bada boom. We're in the winner's seat, right? We're in the driver's seat. So it's an interesting dynamic. It's totally interesting to see. I don't know, man. I think, I'm 40. I just turned 40. I came from the era of the video games and putting on, 3D, and we still do the Oculus and all these types of things. But also, I'm totally old school where I grew up and we were looting by hand and I did all these things on the asphalt side. And I remember the roller having to click the button with the vibrator, turn the throttle up, hold the choke, and do all these things. And I'm seeing us get to this point at this amount of time. I have a younger son who's expressed interest being in the asphalt industry. I'm going to get some stuff I know at some point where he's like, Dad, check this out. And I'm going to be like, that's totally awesome, but that's beyond my realm of comprehension. And you've went ahead and eased your way into it. Enjoy, have fun with it. That gets me excited, man, because this is our community. These are our people, and we're making their jobs and lives easier. We're creating ways for them to generate more revenue and solve problems that have been around in our industry for a long time. One thing I want to ask you about, and this is, I've seen a lot of roller technology within the last 2 years, right? Other companies, and there's other people that are trying to find density through different means and doing all these things. But there's not a lot for the paver guys. We don't always see some added technology. I seen a paver laser this year. My friend and one of the podcast guests, Asphalt Space Ranger, Dusty Bailey, he was like, this is what we got. This is what we're working with, right? And he drives a Cat. But you always talk about the point of contacts, the screed, and all these different things. Is there stuff available for the paver? Is there stuff coming out for the paver? How does that work for us?
The pavers have had what I call 2D. 2D paving is when we reference something on the ground. We call it bottom-up paving. So a classic example is I have to match curb. My asphalt has to meet my curb. So I'm going to put a sonic tracer on measuring the curb, and it's going to keep my screed at the elevation that meets the curb all the time. No matter where I go, if the curb goes up and down, my screed goes with it. So 2D has existed for, I don't know, 15, 20 years probably. Very common. It's rare to see anyone pave without it anymore. It's pretty common. 3D is when we call that top down. So that's when I want a surface to look exactly like this. Crown is here, width is here, it tapers to shoulder here. I've got a design in mind that I need the road to look like. It's going to be the best for smoothness. It's going to be the best for managing my materials, for yields. And we do that top down. 3D is still, I say new. It's probably 10 years, 12 years old, but it doesn't see the same adoption. Like there's this fear of, okay, this is just new and different. I have to create a model. I got to tell the paver what I want it to do. That's for some people, and there's advantages to it. It's usually around either smoothness or tie-ins or job site productivity. So if I know exactly how many tons are going from point A to point B, I can manage the plant, I can manage the trucks, I can manage the paving crew, and finish at 2:00 like I intended to. When we don't know, and we're just using paint marks on the ground and stuff, and going, okay, I think this is 2 inches. That's probably 2.5. Let me get my calculator out. That's 1,600 tons. Order it. And you come up 100 feet short of where you want to get to at the end of the day. And now you're calling the plant. You're like, hey guys, can you turn on for another 100? Well, we already went home. We got to come back, and there's a startup fee, and I got to get the trucks back. Now that 2:00 end just became, like you said earlier, now it's 7:00, 8:00. Yeah. To do 100 feet just took us as long as what it took us to do the first 1,000. Because we just missed, right? So we don't have to deal with that. There's 3D. When I think about the new, like the newest stuff, one of the newer ones that's gotten really popular is, we all know that asphalt can only be compacted when it's in a certain envelope, right? It can't be hotter than this, and it can't be colder than that. It's got to be in this window. And we want it to be, kind of continuous across the pavement mat. There's infrared cameras now that mount on the back of the paver that are measuring the temperature of the material as it's coming out of the screed. And I know, okay, it's too hot, don't roll it yet. Or, hey, it's right where I want it to be. Or, and this is really weird when you see it the first time, because we take this stuff for granted. There's heaters across the screed that are keeping that mat hot, so it releases and comes out of the back of the machine. When one of those goes out, you'll see this temperature map where it's red, orange, and then there's the stripe of green or blue, and then red, orange again. You know that your screed heater's out, and no matter how much you roll, there's going to be this section of road that's going to fail early because it was cold. We can know that the minute it comes out of the paver, and we can stop and say, wait a minute, did we get a bad load? Is it the mix? Do we have a screed heater out? Let's get that fixed before we just keep paving and make it worse.
Awesome.
Yeah, you're not going to find it, just rolling around on the compactor later. You got blue smoke everywhere, so you think you're okay. But there's spots to find that. And then the latest, probably the brand newest, and I think it's the one that we get asked about the most, outside of that compaction sensor, the next most, by far and away, the most common thing I get is,
even before I had a discount code partnership with Brunt Workwear, which you can find in the description of this podcast, I was wearing their boots when patching or paving, and their shirts and hats when I was out on date night with Nikki.
I'm actually wearing one right now. Seriously, though, half my closet is Brunt workwear at this point. I have 3 sets of boots, 2 Marins, and a pair of the Omans, as well as a green Chevlin hoodie that I love. It's got a snake on it. It actually has a pocket where it keeps my cell phone there in the front. I love that about it. And it took the place of my winter jacket last season. To check out their full line, go to bruntworkwear.com and use code MJOLS10 to save $10 off your first order of $60 or more.
I would love for my paver to auto steer because I'm already managing the wing walls and the slat conveyor and the auger box and the truck traffic. I got to get him dumping up next to me. There's a lot going on for that paver operator. And if they didn't have to worry about holding that line, life would be easier.
Yeah.
There are now right today it's Vogelé and Dynapack. They have a couple of models that support full blown steering automation.
Awesome.
So you give it a steering line, and the paver is just going to follow that line all day, and you can do all the other tasks. And
Wow.
it's only a matter of time before that grabs more OEMs and more makes.
Yeah.
It's something that makes. And again, you talked about this earlier, Marvin. I think people take it for granted. No one in this industry is afraid of hard work. You don't join asphalt paving because you want easy days. And I don't think anyone's afraid of it. 12-hour days are just what happens during the paving season. But wouldn't it be better if you got home at the end of that 12-hour shift and you were a little bit fresher? It's like, okay, yeah, I worked a long day, but the paver steered itself, and I know I didn't have any quality errors, and I didn't have any plant hiccups because we've automated some of that stuff. When there's no fires, you go home with just a little bit more energy.
Yeah, you feel good. Everybody around you feels good.
Exactly.
You come home after a hard day when things didn't go your way and you ran into problems. I hate to say it, but a lot of times you bring that home with you, whether you want to or not in the asphalt industry. It's really hard to check it on those hard days. And we were talking about this, some contractors, after I seen the device at ConExpo, and not this device, the roller device. And I was speaking, I was like, what would you do if you could turn your 12-hour day into a 10-hour day? And a lot of contractors like, well, I'd figure out a way to make it back into a 12-hour day. Like, if I get a gap there, I'm getting there. But what they wouldn't do is figure out how to make it a 16-hour day.
Yep.
Right. And that's the biggest thing. Like, if we can figure out sooner, faster, how to solve the issues that we don't see until it's too late, man, that's going to save us from having to stay way too long, do way too much. And the people that suffer are the people that are paying the fee, because they're going to get added on fees. The contractor is going to have to deal with eating costs, they're going to, but it's the families and the people that are running it. No one, I hate to say it in this industry, but and we have a problem in this, and we talk about it quite a bit in the asphalt industry. And I speak about stress and anxiety and all these other things, but you don't just come out of a stressful situation at work and just be like, check that right here. That doesn't bother me. You're thinking all night like, man, the auger went out and I can't not figure out, I'm going to have to deal with it in the morning. We ran a cold mat and I didn't even know it. And then we stopped the paver. We're going to have to go back and redo this work.
Yep.
Right. So it's a wonderful thing, man. And I don't think that a lot of times you hear my podcast and I have people on from OEMs and people with technology and all these machines and whatnot, and see our industry moving. I cannot thank you all enough. Like, we would still be doing it the old school ways with stakes and trying to figure all this out if it weren't for you all. I mean, it's cool for me. You can be a nerd and be in the asphalt industry. You can be a geek like me and get excited about this type of stuff. There's space for everybody. And I'm thankful for having you all and people at companies like Trimble. It's making our lives easier. I have no desire to create what you all create, but I do have a desire to do my job better. And we can do it with technology that you all create. I think it's a great thing for us to see it and be able to adapt it. And we wouldn't be able to do it if it wasn't for you guys.
Yeah, and when we appreciate you, being that messenger for everybody, because there's a lot of people that, they're on that screen listening to you. That's how they're running stuff. They're not looking at magazines. They're not going to trade shows. They're out working. And you're our conduit to get that message out. So thank you.
Well, I really appreciate it, man. And I can't get enough. I follow Trimble everywhere. And every time there's some type of new piece of even information or an idea, I love it. And, we talk about, I have talked a lot anyways about being nerding out about this type of stuff. But then we get in the booth and there's a NASCAR sitting there of Trimble. Like they know who their group is. It's us. We're trying to get out here and do our thing. So it's really great to be able to talk to anybody at Trimble. I've always loved that. They're an open book of like, hey, we'd love to talk to you and figure out how to help you. They generally do want to help. So if people are curious, where can they learn more? Of course, they can follow Trimble on social media platforms and whatnot. But if they're wanting to learn more, where do they jump over to learn more?
Yeah, the two places I would say is you want to go to Trimble, civilconstruction.trimble.com. And then this year, 2026, in November, is the Trimble Dimensions event, which is this. It's like it's the playground on steroids. We've got an offsite. We do a big Trimble show where they're talking about all things Trimble, whether it's bidding and estimating, ERPs, machine control, survey. You're used to seeing these things in hotels or in like convention centers.
Yeah,
we do have that. But then a short drive away, we've got 50 acres. All these machines, the graders, the excavators, the pavers, the curb and gutter machines, they're all there with tech on them. So if anyone wants to try it, you can pave a layer of sand, see how it works. It's hard to envision it until you've done it. And so get in the chair, come see how it works. We push dirt around all day long for 3 days. Customers can come see it. The drones are flying over and scanning with LiDAR and getting survey data. We're out there with mobile mapping units. We've got, reality capture, all the things we talk about. You can try it, kick the tires, we say. And so that's a really cool way to come see it in action.
Well, I want to do that. I'm gonna have to get on Elizabeth and be like, hey, I want to film everything. I want to see it all. What's not crazy to say is in 6 months when we're there, or however long it is until we're there, you and I could probably record a podcast there, and it would be about something new or another new advancement that we made in 6 months. So I would love to get out there and take a look at it. I recommend anybody gets out there. My buddy Jacob, who we mentioned earlier, was out at Dimensions. He loved it. Like when he was like, this was the event this year. And I was like, oh, I wouldn't have guessed that. But I have a coaster on my desk back in Nashville at the Wiscott office that's got Trimble Dimensions right on it. So I'm ready to rock and roll. Hopefully I get to come out and see y'all.
Yeah, we'd love to host you and show you a day in the dirt.
Well, I appreciate it, my friend. All right, everybody. As always, you can jump over to those locations where Kevin mentioned and check out Trimble. And as always, you can also go over to inthemixmj.com. You can check out our website. There you'll find links to all of our social platforms. There'll be a newsletter, monthly newsletter for you to sign up for. I write an article and we feature a podcast rundown kind of what went on this month. And sometimes we'll have articles from our guests as well. And they'll be able to submit some stuff and give you a little more detail there. So be sure to sign up for that on any social media platform. If you type in @InTheMixMJ, just type in the mix or Marvin Joles, you'll find us as well. And the podcast is available not only on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and YouTube, but a plethora of other places. You can always find me on LinkedIn as well. Kevin, thank you so much for joining us today and telling us about Trimble.
Thank you, Marvin. Appreciate you.